Magic Academy. My sister and I have created a safe place for you to learn all sorts of things about witchcraft and the world of witches. And let me tell you, the world of witches is very vast. It can be rituals, spell work, runes, astrology, tarot, chanting. There are so many things. I don't know if you know that magic can be defined according to the 4 elements. So we have the fire magic, which is used to release and transform energy. It includes candle magic to set intentions, but also you can use fire to burn a piece of paper, yes, on which you write something on to release it, yes. And there's also earth magic, which includes crystals, plants, herbs, and water magic. That's great for healing work, and it consists of working with the moon phases. Yeah. And lastly, air magic, which focuses on mental clarity. So it uses divination like tarot or astrology. So all these types of magic are very complementary, yes. And some people like to define themselves according to what they enjoy the most, what type of magic they like the most. This is the reason why that you can encounter some witches who define themselves as a fire witch or an earth witch or a water witch. So during your studies, we will look at different types of magic, yes. And I'm sure you will find something you resonate with. But maybe you already know that you're drawn to water magic, or perhaps you're yet to discover that you're a fire witch. Or maybe you don't feel specifically drawn to a specific type of magic, as you prefer to just explore the different practices. We will first start with astrology, which is considered air magic because it focuses on understanding someone's personality and life path through the birth chart. Astrology can also be used as a tool to do predictions, but my sister and I prefer to use it as a way to understand ourselves better in order to make the most of our lives. Such a fascinating topic, I have to say. Yes. So, without further ado, let's begin. And for that, we will need the Book of Knowledge. Yes. Here it is. The Book of Knowledge. Yes, I know it's from my sister. It belongs to my sister. I borrowed it. So let's see. Of course, the pages are blank. We first need to ask the book about what we want to know before it can show it to us. This is how it works. So now I would like you to focus on the history of of Astrology. Yes, you can do that? Great. Focus on this and then come closer. Yes, you can come closer. During the Middle Ages, astronomy, which studies the movements of the sky, and astrology, which studies its influence on living beings, were completely connected. Astronomers of the past were also astrologers. Understanding the movements of the stars and planets was for them not only a way to understand how our world worked, but also how human beings, animals, and plants were intimately connected to the rhythm of the sky. They observed both the world around them and how human psychology was reflected in the sky. People knew when to sow and harvest crops according to the sun, the seasons, and the phases of the moon. At the time of the Renaissance, astrology was taught in universities. It was even part of the medical department, as each planet and zodiac sign represented one or several organs in the human body. Unfortunately, the beautiful marriage between astronomy and astrology ended. Astrology and astronomy were separated, and astrology was even forbidden in the 17th century when France banished it from the Academy of Science. Nevertheless, astrology was not completely lost, and it continued on its own. Some cities are living proof that astrology once had a place in society and was highly regarded. In Prague, the famous astronomical clock, which was created in the 15th century, shows the positions of the sun and the moon in the 12 zodiac signs. Nowadays, we can find traces of astrology on monuments and old buildings all around the world. Astrology might no longer be in astronomy books, but that doesn't change the fact that humans are still fascinated by the mysteries of the sky. We have long sought to understand ourselves by looking at the world around us, which has given rise to countless legends, stories, poems, paintings, pieces of music, and much more. The moon is probably the most inspiring celestial object. There are so many stories about it that some people consider true. Perhaps your best friend has already told you that the full moon caused her insomnia or restless dreams. Or maybe you've heard stories claiming that there's a higher percentage of people doing crazy things or taking more risks during a full moon. Some people even claim that moonlight increases the desire for love. All these stories, whether they are legends or fun facts, reflect what the moon represents in astrology. The moon reflects the unconscious mind, or emotional world, or deep needs and desires, and all patterns that we might not always be aware of. The full moon can be a magnifying glass on our emotions. This is why we might feel our emotions very strongly during a full moon and sometimes overreact. Not because those emotions are misleading, but because they are connected to our subjective reality, that is, our inner world, which might be completely different from the objective reality. But the moon is not the only celestial object that reflects our human nature. In astrology, we also talk about the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They each reflect a part of ourselves. For example, the Sun represents our identity, while Mercury reflects the way we think and communicate. And you might wonder, how does astrology work? Well, in order to understand the movement of the sky through the eyes of astrology, we need to go back in time. While observing the sky, the astronomers of the past realized that some celestial objects, which we now call planets, were moving in a spherical motion along a specific path. They called this path the road of the zodiac. They used different tools such as the astrolabe and the Armillary Sphere to calculate the position of celestial bodies in the sky. This is an Armillary Sphere. You've got the road of the zodiac just here with the 12 signs. And at the center, you have a little pole which represents the Earth. Just here. You have to imagine that all planets, including the Sun and the Moon, are moving in spherical motion around the Earth, along the road of the zodiac. Of course, this is not the objective reality, but our perceived reality. As we live on the Earth, we have the impression that everything moves around us. This is the reason why we talk about the sunset and the sunrise, as if the sun was moving around us. But we know that it's not true, but we have the impression that it does. Remember, astrology is not interested in seeing the cosmos as it is. It is focused on understanding human nature through the influence of celestial bodies. You might have already heard the words birth chart or natal chart. So what is it exactly? Each planet moves in a circle through each sign of the zodiac. Some planets, like Mars, take more than a year to go through all the signs, whereas the Moon goes through all the zodiac signs in just 28 days. Your natal chart, also called birth chart, is a picture of the sky at the moment you were born. It shows the 10 planets in the 12 signs of the zodiac and the 12 houses at the exact time and date of your birth. The planets represent the different parts of yourself. The zodiac signs describe how those parts express themselves, and the houses represent the different areas of life where they are the most active. So if you have the moon in Leo in the 9th house, for example, your emotional world, represented by the moon, will express itself through the sign of Leo, and therefore take on the qualities of that sign. The 9th house, known as the house of philosophy, travel, and higher education, will be the domain in which your moon will be dominant. Having said that, nothing can prove the accuracy of astrology. If you are Leo with Venus in Sagittarius, can these astrological configurations really describe your personality and your patterns in relationships? I would personally say yes. However, you are the only one who can confirm such a statement by looking at your birth chart and comparing it to how you feel about yourself. Astrology is not seeking absolute truth, since such a thing does not exist. It seeks awareness, comprehension, and expansion, as each birth chart is not a promise, but a potential that every human has the free will to explore. I hope you've enjoyed this little trip to the past. Fascinating story. That's it for today. The class is finished. Yeah. But make sure that you have written everything down on your notebook, your thoughts and what you've learned. Of course, you can still get our notebook and mug and bag from our shop. Yes, there's the link in the description box. I finally memorized that word, description box. My sister will be so happy, or perhaps less annoyed. And yes, you can still download the astrology cheat sheet if you haven't already. Yeah, it's free, and you will have a bit of information about astrology, as well as my favorite website to calculate birth chart. It's quite useful. Alright, so see you soon, my friend, and remember to stay relaxed and